We all know someone who thinks they're a MotoGP legend because they can do 60 without crashing. But motorcycle riding isn't just about staying upright. There are levels to this game. So today, we're breaking down the 7 levels of motorcycle riding from absolute disaster to genuine legend. And trust me, you'll probably recognize yourself somewhere in here. Hopefully not at level 1. Welcome to the parking lot of pain, where dreams go to die and clutches go to burn out. Level 1 riders can barely get the bike moving. They stall every 10 seconds like it's their job. Their feet are dragging on the ground even when they're already rolling, looking like Fred Flintstone trying to power a Kawasaki. These riders look absolutely terrified at 10 miles per hour, which, let's be honest, is probably faster than they should be going. If you sat on a bike for the first time today, congratulations, you're already here. Don't worry, we've all been there. Some of us just got out faster than others. Here's the thing about level 1. You're not riding, you're surviving. Cars don't see you, and honestly, neither does God. Every intersection is basically Russian roulette with turn signals. But let's talk about what level 1 actually looks like in practice. These riders spend more time looking at their instrument cluster than the road ahead. They're so focused on what gear they're in that they completely miss the car pulling out in front of them. Their gear situation? Forget about it. They're wearing whatever they had laying around. Sneakers, jeans with holes in them, maybe a helmet that looks like it survived a meteor impact. And the sounds they make. Level 1 riders are constantly talking to their bike like it can hear them. Come on, don't stall on me now. Meanwhile, everyone within a 50-foot radius can hear their clutch crying for mercy. The best part? Level 1 riders have zero awareness of how they look to other road users. They think they're blending in, being subtle. Meanwhile, they're wobbling down the street like a newborn giraffe, learning to walk. But here's what separates level 1 from giving up entirely. Courage. It takes guts to swing your leg over a 400-pound machine and trust that physics and prayer will keep you upright. Level 1 riders might look ridiculous, but at least they're trying. The key to getting out of level 1? Practice in parking lots until you can start, stop, and turn without having an existential crisis. Master the friction zone. Learn to look where you want to go instead of where you're afraid you'll end up. Time to graduate from "please don't let me die" to "maybe I won't die." Level 2 riders have figured out the basics. They can ride technically, like the bike moves forward and they don't immediately fall over. But we're talking straight lines only here. Turning? Forget it. Every corner looks like a Final Destination scene waiting to happen. These are the riders still in sneakers, shorts, and a t-shirt, thinking they're invincible. Bro is clenching the handlebars like he's trying to strangle the bike into submission. Level 2 is where you start seeing some personality types emerge. You've got the "I watched a YouTube video" guy who thinks he knows everything after watching one Moto Jitsu tutorial. You've got the "my dad taught me" rider whose dad hasn't been on a bike since 1987. And then you've got the "I'm naturally gifted" rider who definitely isn't. Let's talk about the trend chasers. The guy who buys a 1000cc sport bike as his first bike because it looks cool on Instagram. Good luck with that, champ. That's like learning to drive in a Formula 1 car while blindfolded. These riders think horsepower equals skill. They'll brag about their bike's specs while barely being able to handle a 125cc scooter. Bro, my R1 makes 200 horsepower. Congrats, dude. You're using about 15 of those horses, and the other 185 are just waiting to turn you into a statistic. Level 2 riders have this weird confidence that comes from not knowing how much they don't know. They'll take off from a red light like they're starting the Daytona 500, then panic brake at the first corner because they have no idea how physics works. The turning situation is genuinely scary. They approach every corner like it's going to be their last. They slow down to about 5 km/h, lean the bike maybe 2 degrees, and white-knuckle it through like they're defusing a bomb. Meanwhile, they could have taken that same corner at 3 times the speed with proper technique. And don't get me started on their following distance. Level 2 riders either tailgate, like they're trying to draft in NASCAR, or they're so far back that other cars start merging into the gap they've left. But here's the thing about level 2. This is where most people get hurt. They have just enough confidence to get themselves into trouble, but not enough skill to get themselves out of it. They'll attempt things they saw someone else do without understanding the fundamentals. The gear situation improves slightly. They might have actual motorcycle boots now, maybe even a proper jacket, but they're still wearing it wrong. Or they bought the cheapest gear possible and wonder why it doesn't fit right. Level 2 is where confidence meets reality, and reality wins every single time. You can move, but every ride feels like you're borrowing time from the universe. But at least you're not stalling anymore most of the time. The key to graduating from level 2? Take a course. Seriously, MSF Basic Rider course, or whatever your local equivalent is. Learn proper cornering technique. Understand countersteering isn't just a buzzword, it's how motorcycles actually turn. I am hoping that so far you've listened to this and thought, yeah, I know just the kind of riders you're describing, but that's not me. If so, good. Make sure to join the squad of elite bikers by racing to that subscribe button. I'd love to continue creating these videos for a bigger and bigger audience, and every single one of you can help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But moving on from level 2, let's go up a notch. Level 3 is the great equalizer. These riders can commute, can get around town without causing a multi-car pileup. Corners are still awkward, but they're not eating asphalt every weekend. This is where bikes start feeling like actual transportation instead of a death sentence with wheels. Level 3 riders have discovered the miracle of smooth acceleration and the revolutionary concept of looking where you want to go. Think of Level 3 as the safe background music of motorcycle riding. Nothing impressive, nothing disastrous. Just there. Level 3 riders have developed what I call parking lot confidence. They can handle their bike in controlled environments, but throw in some traffic, some weather, or some unexpected road conditions, and they're back to Level 2 panic mode. These are the riders who finally understand that their bike has more than 2 gears. They've figured out that you don't need to rev to redline between every shift, and they've stopped making their engine sound like it's having an asthma attack. The gear situation has improved dramatically. Level 3 riders actually own proper motorcycle gear and wear it most of the time. They might even know what ATGATT means, though they'll still occasionally ride to the corner store in flip-flops because it's just 5 minutes. But here's where Level 3 gets interesting. This is where riders start developing bad habits that will plague them for years. They get comfortable with their mediocre technique and stop actively trying to improve. They can get where they need to go without crashing, so they think they're done learning. Level 3 riders love to give advice to Level 1 and 2 riders, which is terrifying because their advice is usually only slightly less wrong than whatever the new riders were doing before. Just lean harder is not proper cornering instruction, Kevin. They've usually settled into one type of riding, commuting, weekend cruising, or maybe some light touring, and they stick to what they know. Ask a Level 3 rider to try something outside their comfort zone, and you'll watch them regress back to Level 2 instantly. The bike choice at Level 3 is usually pretty sensible. They've moved past the biggest engine possible phase and found something that matches their actual skill level, though they'll still occasionally look at sport bikes and think, maybe next year. Level 3 riders are the silent majority, competent enough to not die, not skilled enough to show off. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. Most riders will spend most of their riding careers at Level 3, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the trap. Level 3 is comfortable. It's safe, it's easy to stay here, and never push yourself to improve. The problem is, comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills riders. The key to moving beyond Level 3? Actively seek out instruction and challenge yourself. Take an advanced riding course. Practice emergency braking and swerving. Learn proper cornering technique instead of just leaning harder. But if you want to graduate from functional to actually kind of impressive, we've got to up it to Level 4. Now we're getting somewhere. Level 4 riders have actual technique. They know basic safety. They're starting to lean properly into turns, and they can explain counter-steering without sounding like they're speaking an alien language. Level 4 is where riding starts to feel natural instead of like controlled chaos. These riders have developed muscle memory for basic operations, so they can actually focus on the road instead of fighting with their bike. These riders have friends saying, "Damn, you're actually pretty good." They're still nowhere near professional level, but they've earned some respect. Old heads at the gas station will actually nod at you now, like you've joined some secret society. You've graduated from motorcycle accident waiting to happen to motorcycle rider who probably won't become a statistic. But let's talk about what Level 4 actually looks like. These riders understand body positioning. They know that cornering isn't just about leaning the bike. It's about moving your body weight to help the bike turn more efficiently. They might not be dragging knee, but they're at least getting their head and shoulders to the inside of the turn. Level 4 riders have figured out throttle control. They understand that smooth acceleration and deceleration make everything easier. They're not choppy on the throttle anymore, and their passengers, if they carry them, have stopped leaving fingerprint impressions in their seats. The braking situation has improved dramatically. Level 4 riders actually use both brakes effectively. They understand that the front brake does most of the work, but they're not afraid of the rear brake anymore. They can stop smoothly without locking up wheels or throwing their passenger into their back. Traffic management becomes second nature at Level 4. These riders have developed situational awareness. They can predict what other drivers are going to do before those drivers even know they're going to do it. They position themselves defensively and always have an escape route planned. Level 4 riders have usually found their riding style. Maybe they're into sport touring, or they've discovered the joy of canyon carving, or they've fallen in love with long-distance adventure riding. They know what they like and they're getting good at it. The gear situation is dialed in. Level 4 riders have quality gear that fits properly and they wear it consistently. They understand that gear isn't just about looking cool. It's about protection and comfort. They might even have different gear for different types of riding. But here's what separates Level 4 from the levels below. Level 4 riders actively seek out challenging situations to improve their skills. They'll ride in the rain to practice wet weather techniques. They'll find twisty roads to work on cornering. They'll practice emergency maneuvers in parking lots. Level 4 riders also understand their limitations. They know when conditions are beyond their skill level, and they adjust accordingly. They're not trying to prove anything to anyone. They're just focused on continuous improvement. The bike choice at Level 4 usually reflects their riding style and actual capabilities. They've moved past buying bikes for ego and started choosing machines that help them improve. They might have multiple bikes for different purposes. Level 4 is where riding becomes genuinely enjoyable instead of just functional. You're not just trying not to crash, you're actively working on getting better, and you can feel the improvement happening. But good isn't great, and great is where legends are born. Welcome to actual competence. Level 5 riders are confident on twisties, can handle higher speeds without their soul leaving their body, and can ride in groups without being that guy who holds everyone up. These riders have bike control in emergency situations. When something goes wrong, they don't freeze. They react. They can do long trips without crying about back pain or questioning their life choices. Here's the thing about Level 5. If Level 1 riders are getting clipped for TikTok fail compilations, Level 5 riders are the ones confidently recording those clips from a safe distance. Level 5 is where riding becomes an art form instead of just transportation. These riders have developed a smoothness and flow that makes everything look effortless. Their inputs are precise, their timing is excellent, and their bike responds like it's reading their mind. Let's talk about cornering at Level 5. These riders understand proper cornering technique inside and out. They know how to set up for a turn, how to find the right line, and how to execute with confidence. They're not just surviving corners, they're attacking them with purpose and skill. The body positioning is dialed in. Level 5 riders move their body weight naturally and effectively. They might not be hanging off like a MotoGP rider, but their positioning helps their bike turn more efficiently and gives them better control. Speed management becomes intuitive at Level 5. These riders can carry more speed through corners than lower-level riders because they understand how to manage entry speed, apex speed, and exit speed. They're not just going fast in straight lines. They're maintaining pace through technical sections. Level 5 riders have developed what I call road reading skills. They can look at a corner and immediately assess the right speed, line, and technique needed. They can adapt to changing conditions, surface changes, debris, varying radius corners without breaking their flow. The mental game is strong at Level 5. These riders have confidence without overconfidence. They push their limits in controlled environments, but remain conservative when the situation calls for it. They understand that good riding is about consistency, not just peak performance. Group riding becomes a joy at Level 5. These riders can maintain position in a group, signal effectively, and ride predictably. They're not the ones causing drama or making others nervous. Other riders actually want them in the group. Level 5 riders have usually explored multiple riding disciplines. They might be into sport touring, track days, adventure riding, or canyon carving. They understand how different types of riding require different skills, and they've developed competence across multiple areas. The bike setup and maintenance game is strong. Level 5 riders understand how suspension, tire pressure, and other factors affect handling. They can set up their bike for different conditions and riding styles. They do their own basic maintenance and understand how their machine works. But here's what really separates Level 5. These riders are constantly learning and improving. They read books, watch instructional videos, take advanced courses, and actively work on their weaknesses. They understand that good riding is a lifelong journey, not a destination. Level 5 riders have moved beyond survival mode into actual enjoyment. They're not just trying not to crash, they're actively having fun and pushing their boundaries in safe, controlled ways. The respect factor kicks in at Level 5. Other riders recognize competence when they see it. Level 5 riders become the ones others ask for advice, and their advice is actually worth taking. But good isn't great, and great is where things get really interesting. Level 6 riders are doing track days, getting their knee down, and showing real control control that makes other riders stop and stare. These are the riders who can outride 95% of the people they meet. They're posting YouTube tutorials, teaching their friends, and making it look effortless when it's anything but. Their friends call them Valentino Rossi. Their mom still calls them an idiot for riding motorcycles in the first place. And honestly, both are probably right. Level 6 is where riding transcends transportation and becomes pure performance art. These riders have developed skills that most people will never achieve, and they make the impossible look routine. Let's talk about what Level 6 actually looks like on the track. These riders are consistent, fast, and smooth. They understand racing lines, braking points, and how to carry maximum speed through complex sections. They might not be setting lap records, but they're putting down respectable times and doing it safely. The cornering technique at Level 6 is textbook perfect. These riders can drag knee consistently and safely. Their body position is aggressive but controlled. They understand how to use their body weight to help the bike change direction quickly and efficiently. But Level 6 isn't just about track riding. These riders excel in multiple disciplines. They might be incredible in the canyons, amazing at adventure riding, or masters of urban commuting. They've taken their skills and applied them across different riding situations. The mental game at Level 6 is incredibly strong. These riders can manage fear, maintain focus under pressure, and make split-second decisions with confidence. They understand the difference between acceptable risk and stupid risk, and they manage their exposure accordingly. Level 6 riders have developed teaching abilities. They can explain complex techniques in ways that lower-level riders can understand and apply. They've usually helped coach friends or newer riders, and they're good at it because they understand the progression of skills. The bike setup and modification game is advanced. Level 6 riders understand suspension tuning, aerodynamics, and how small changes can make big differences in performance. They might have multiple bikes set up for different purposes, or one bike that they can reconfigure for different types of riding. Physical fitness becomes important at Level 6. These riders understand that riding at this level is physically demanding, and they train accordingly. They have the strength and endurance to maintain their technique, even when fatigue sets in. Level 6 riders have usually invested heavily in instruction and coaching. They've taken multiple advanced courses, maybe worked with professional instructors, and they continue to seek out learning opportunities. They understand that even at their level, there's always room for improvement. The equipment game is serious at Level 6. These riders have high-quality gear that's appropriate for their level of riding. They understand how gear affects performance and safety, and they choose equipment that helps them perform at their best. But here's what really defines Level 6. These riders can adapt to any situation. Put them on an unfamiliar bike, on an unfamiliar road, in challenging conditions, and they'll figure it out quickly. Their fundamental skills are so solid that they can apply them anywhere. Level 6 riders have that smooth, confident style that makes riding look like art instead of barely controlled chaos. When they roll up to a bike meet, people actually want to talk to them about technique instead of just nodding politely. The respect factor is huge at Level 6. Other riders recognize true skill when they see it, and Level 6 riders command respect from everyone, from beginners to professionals. They've earned their place in the hierarchy through demonstrated competence, but even greatness has its limits, and beyond Level 6 lies something truly special. Level 7 isn't just about skill, it's about transcendence. These are your professional racers, your stunt riders, your absolute masters who've dedicated their lives to two wheels. We're talking Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez, the legends who tackle the Isle of Man TT and make it look like a Sunday cruise. For Level 7 riders, riding looks effortless because it is effortless. The bike isn't a machine they're controlling. It's an extension of their body, an extra limb they were apparently born with. They don't ride the bike, they are the bike. And the rest of us? We're just trying not to embarrass ourselves too badly in comparison. Level 7 riders are instantly recognizable, not because of their gear or their bike, but because of how they move. There's a fluidity, a confidence, a connection that separates them from everyone else. Let's talk about what Level 7 actually means. These aren't just fast riders or skilled riders. These are artists who have elevated motorcycle riding to its highest form. They've spent decades perfecting their craft, and they continue to push the boundaries of what's possible. On the track, Level 7 riders are setting records, winning championships, and redefining what we think is possible on two wheels. They can find speed where others can't, and they can maintain that speed with a consistency that defies belief. But Level 7 isn't just about racing. Think about the stunt riders who can make a motorcycle dance in ways that seem to defy physics, or the adventure riders who can navigate terrain that most people couldn't walk through, let alone ride through. The mental game at Level 7 is beyond what most people can comprehend. These riders can maintain absolute focus and perfect technique while operating at the absolute limit of physical possibility. They've trained their minds to process information and make decisions at speeds that would overwhelm normal humans. Level 7 riders have usually spent their entire adult lives focused on motorcycles. This isn't a hobby or even a passion. It's an obsession that has consumed their existence. They've made sacrifices that most people wouldn't even consider in pursuit of perfection. The technical understanding at Level 7 is encyclopedic. These riders don't just know how to ride. They understand the physics, the engineering, the biomechanics, and the psychology of high-level motorcycle performance. They can analyze and optimize every aspect of their riding. But here's what really separates Level 7 from everyone else. They make the impossible look routine. Things that would be career highlights for Level 6 riders are just another day at the office for Level 7. Their baseline performance is beyond what most riders will ever achieve at their peak. Level 7 riders also tend to be innovators. They're the ones developing new techniques, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and showing the rest of us what the future of motorcycle riding looks like. The influence factor is massive at Level 7. These riders inspire entire generations of motorcyclists. Kids watch them and decide they want to ride. Adults watch them and remember why they fell in love with motorcycles in the first place. But perhaps most importantly, Level 7 riders understand their responsibility. They know that they're representing the sport, and they conduct themselves accordingly. They're ambassadors for motorcycle riding at its highest level. Level 7 is the pinnacle, the goal that every serious rider aspires to, but very few will ever reach. These are the riders who have dedicated their lives to the pursuit of two-wheeled perfection, and they've achieved something truly extraordinary. Now, comment down below what level you're in, and if you want to upgrade fast, I made a video on 10 tricks that I guarantee you that if you learn them, you will be ahead of 90% of riders you see on the road. Click on screen to watch that next, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.